Hello guys and welcome to yet another analysis video. I'm Toby, as you probably know, and this is the second day of the week 1 finals of PGIs. It's I guess also the final day because the finals are only 2 days long. 5 games were played yesterday and 5 games were played here as well. You can watch day 1 VOD on YouTube by the time that this one is uploaded. The other one will be uploaded as well. You can watch both of them there if you didn't get to see the first one. And there's a lot of other analysis content on the channel too. So feel free to go and watch those videos too. But let's get straight into it. I'm using Twire, so shout out to Twire for allowing me to use their program. And let's get into it. Let's see. Is there anything out of the ordinary as compared to what we saw on day 1? Let's just flash that plane path a couple of times and then we'll remove it. Great. So let's pause for a second. Liquid, once again, are down on the south side. We saw that in the first day as well. Base, pretty usual. They'll go towards the south once they, when they don't have planes for Monte. Furia over towards Chuma makes perfect sense. Infantry doing their split on the north side. Gen G still down towards Porto. TSG has been on the south side before. Usually they'd go further west. One would go Los Hijos. Maybe they'd go all the way over to Valle del Mar. But right now, it seems like they're opting to just stay here. So a little bit cramped on the south side here with Oath playing inside of Leonis as well. Up towards the north, 4 AM splitting, attack all around splitting, Navi up towards the north, not opting to go all the way west because the plane, as you saw, was up here. No reason for them to transition all the way over here when they can just get looted in the north. Pretty usual Navi things. So, I guess overall, pretty straightforward looting. Not too much to dive into. We did talk a little bit about the whole Liquid dropping here rather than contesting Picado on day 1 or on yesterday's games. So if you wanna go over there, you can see our not really a breakdown. I talked a little bit about it on the first day, so you can go watch that video as well. Can I have an eye on TSM? Of course. Morbid, I have an eye on everyone. We also discussed the TSM drops, but how it's been changed. Iro usually starts in the compound down here, then goes over to loot over here. It's pretty funny how they started with San Martin, then they went over to Hacienda, then they had San Martin, Hacienda, west side of Minas, and Graveyard, and now they're kind of confined to looting La Bandida and trash within this area. But, I mean, as long as they get their vehicles, as long as they get the loot they want, they're, I guess they should consider themselves satisfied. Let's see. We have the timer, by the way, in the bottom right corner, in case you guys don't know. South side is kind of clustered. Face opting early to go, yep, you know what, let's just get out of here before any trouble ensues. We'll go over to the west side. The thing is, Face knows. And of course, Sonics know as well that since there's no team here, Sonics would have known that when they flew in with their parachutes, saw that no one was landing here. There's a lot of good real estate up for grabs. Like you have this area, you have, you can come in from east side over by Monte. There's so much space on the east side because, again, the plane path was to, west side, sorry, because the plane was to the east. There's so much space over on the west side, and I think that's why you see Face leave as early as they are. We're only 3 minutes in, and they're already all driving. So they've looted a building or two each, and they're full speed sending it, because they know right now is when they have the time to come in and enter the circle from the west, and kind of play it where they usually go from. So we'll see how far Face opts to go on their first rotation there. Sonics, as I said, they knew everything was available, so they're going to split out, playing in a 2-2 split. A pretty wide 2-2 split right now, to be fair, especially, I mean, they know they have TSM on top of the hill. So pretty ballsy for them to try and maintain this 2-way split. I would have thought maybe they would have gone down the hill, played, not there, but this. Just play closer together. You can 2-1-1 split this maybe, or even 1-1-1-1 split like this. But they're maintaining high ground control, trying to get some vision, and hopefully for them, TSM won't become an issue. Liquid going down here. That's pretty standard for them. I mean, the way they're sitting right now is usually how they'd be sitting coming out of Picado. They'd go here and something down here or down here. So they're doing the exact same. I mean, post circle 1 or post first rotation, they're actually sitting where they would have been sitting. Maybe they would have wanted to get this compound too, but they're essentially sitting where they would have been sitting had they rotated out Picado. That makes pretty good sense for them to be down here. Maybe a little further south than this circle. Maybe, yeah, okay. Either way, this is a pretty normal spot for Liquid to sit in, is what I was trying to say with it. Base, again, on their western rotation, moving on forward. Liquid caking out Shandian. Nux coming in above. Again, I mean, H1 and mine playing alone up here. I don't mind it necessarily, but I'm surprised that TSM... So TSM are 4 alive here. And currently, they're in the little bowl. They can be seen by a Freak of Freaks. They can, to some extent, be seen by Longska. And depending on how aggressively they peek over here, they will be seen by Infantry and Oath on the south side as well. There should not be a reason for TSM to lose players. Unless if they got pushed on by either Sonics, which obviously won't happen because they're only 2. Or if some other team opted to crash over towards them. They should not, at least in my book, be losing players. Yes, you can get players knocked. Happens. Can't do anything about it. But you should not be losing players in phase 1 here. Vard aggresses, tries to get info. H1 gets a knock on him. Now he's isolated. They have to commit smokes and everything to get the res up. Iroh comes over to get the res. Now he's going to go down. As you can see, once they're open on the hillside here, they're exposed to the compound, which means, to be fair, Vard was probably out of position when he pushed down. It was H-Win that got him, but I'm sure shots had been fired from over here as well. No, Iroh is down. Like, Iroh tried to commit to get the res onto Vard. They both go down because of it. Now Wookie and Miracle know, great, we can't go up there because Infantry will shoot at us, or Sonics might push up if they see even one more knock. So we just lost 2 players early to kind of go on what you wanted to see, Mobit. They Vard got caught peeking too aggressively, is my bet, and they end up going down because of it. So they lose 2 players. Miracle gets knocked, gets back on his feet. And now a Freak of Freaks start pushing. Why? Well, because they saw they just lost 2 players. And they just got the knock over here. So now they know for a fact that it's TSM sitting in the bowl. So they go over. They force TSM to leave. In turn, a Freak of Freaks get themselves a better position early. Really smart play from a Freak of Freaks. Really smart play. Reading the situation, knowing that this position over here is much better than sitting up here. Because up here is limited what you can scout towards the west. And, well, I mean, if we just remove this real quick. And you look at the circle. In terms of scouting west, if you're sitting up here and you can scout like this, you'd rather sit here and be able to scout like that when the circle is like this. Does that make sense? And again, if anything is like, if I'm saying something and it's going too fast, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, if you have any questions, something you want me to go into more detail with, feel free to ask. I don't understand how much cash does Navi have. I must admit that I'm actually not quite sure how much money they have. They made money from qualifying to the weekly finals. They made money from that win. They made money from the like the portion of the pick'em stuff. And I guess that's it. So depending on how early they qualified, they made money off of that alone. They didn't get any wins. They didn't get any like top 5 placing in the weekly final, so they didn't get anything from that. So I guess 5,000 sounds about right. That would make sense. TSM better push Sonics when they're 4. I mean, if they want to push it, Vard pushed up alone. If his plan was to just get info and H1 gets a knock on him, that's of course just unfortunate. But if they're in a situation, TSM, where when they're 4 alive here and they say, we want this compound. The thing is, at this point, they don't know if it's 2 or 4 people down here. Probably not expecting it to be 4, but not, I mean, you can never be sure, right? But yeah, in my book, I mean, at least if you're pushing up, if Art is pushing up, bring Iroh to peak with you so you don't go up alone. Or just push all 4 together and try and see if you can force them out. Because teams are, I mean, if there's a team sitting here, there's a very big chance that it would be the Picado team. Picado teams tend to run up here, and it's very rare that you'd have 4 guys sitting in this compound early. It's a pretty good compound, don't get me wrong. But when the circle is centering on Picado on the west side, you can kind of draw the line. When the circle is centering west of Picado-ish, committing all 4 players up here instead of taking something down here doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I think TSM should expect that there's only 2 people, maybe even 1 guy there. And I guess had they pushed down as 4, I assume, even though it's Mime and H-Win, I assume they would have bailed out. Because, I mean, they know they have much more real estate available. So in my book, that's a mistake on TSM's part, losing 2 players there. Kind of dive into it. Great. Circle's closing in, and I have talked to the guys at Twire about, you know, like the blue area, because you can see the blue circle closing. I've talked to them about, like, making this actually blue. So it's a little easier to differentiate, and I know they're working on it. So we'll see. We'll see in the future how it goes. Great. So the mountain pass up towards Power Grid is slowly getting shifted out. There is still a chance we could hard shift up there, but very slim chance at best. And down towards the south, all real estate is getting occupied rather rapidly. We still have a compound here available. Gas station is open. There's a compound up here available. We got the small shacks on the south side of the road available. But, I mean, it's all kind of in the middle of everything. So it's really hard to get to. Let's say if you're infantry out on the east side, you go, oh, great. We know this compound is clear. How do we get there, though? This is not a drive that you would go for. I mean, some teams might do it, to be fair. But it's not something you'd normally. It's not something you'd normally go for. Nick went random fact for 1,000 channel points. I can see a seagull right now. It's flying. Oh, now it's gone behind a window. There you go. So circle shifts. Furia instantly rotating in, trying to get themselves into a better position. I like the split they're trying to maintain right now. It makes pretty good sense to me. One of the most important things in this split is A, Kill Demo needs to have a vehicle really close by so he can leave if he has to. And B, they have vision on each other. Like the 2 compounds can actually help one another. Whereas to how Sonics were split earlier, like this, if they get pulled up on up here, there's nothing that Tickleton and Shrimsy can do from down here to help. Or at least it's very limited. They might be able to see people all the way up on the hill, but that's still a solid, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 meter shooting. So, I mean, yes, okay, it is Shrimsy and Tickleton. They're good players, don't get me wrong. But getting knocks at 800 meters is still pretty damn difficult. So it would have been limited what they could do. And if they get pulled up on, it's going to take a long time before they'd be up there to help. So trying to maintain a split like this instead makes a lot more sense, especially if you've already lost a player early, which I think Furia did. So let's see. Wookie tries to send it center with Miracle. They end up losing 1. Again, yes, they're center, but it's just Miracle left alive. Not the best situation for them to be in. Gen G out in the east, they came in from all the way down towards Portpariso, so they're a little late, which makes sense. And infantry, I like this infantry rotation. Watch this. Let's go back. So the new circle pops, right? And everyone's going to start to move. Sonics are going to wrap back and play together as 4 in the center. But look at infantry. They're sitting here. Follow infantry's rotation. Instead of trying to claim center, we talked about how they're sitting here and we said, yes, okay, this is open. They could just send it, but with absolutely 0 info and going in blind, right? What they do instead, watch this. They go over to scout forward, they check the compounds, they check a pathing north around and try and see if there's anyone kind of coming in this direction. They realize, wait, okay, so the north passage is free and they might have even seen a rotation coming in the other way. So if we just go underneath, we can actually get up on the plateau. Again, it's far from prime real estate, but it gives them a place to play from in the next circle and they're getting into a position from where they can scout forward. Come up to 4 AM, Crazy backs off, knowing that obviously they're in a 4-way split, so he's not going to engage an entire team on his own. Infantry gets to wrap around, and if they get lucky here with a north hard shift, like if this circle had gone just a little more north, if the top of this circle had been here instead, which would have made it a pretty big hard shift, there would have been a good chance the circle ended up here, and infantry would have been absolutely in joy. But now with phase 3, 4 coming up, there's a very big chance it's going to shift down towards the south. But either way, look at this. Infantry opted to not contest the center, wrapped all the way around, and are now sitting in a pretty decent spot. Yes, we are expecting the circle to go down towards the south again, along with everyone else. But A, they have a place to call home for now, and B, they avoided the chaos and the cluster, which everyone knew. I mean, you know for a fact that these south side compounds, like once they're sitting over here, right? They know if we go towards the center of the circle, if we try and claim anything within here, we should have a name for this, like this triangle. If we try and claim anything within this area, either we're gonna have to fight for a compound, which makes sense, and odds are that if we're fighting for a compound and it takes a little longer than what we probably would have wanted it to, it's gonna be contested and it's gonna go complete chaos. Like, it's gonna be really, really chaotic if you're trying to contest anything in the center of the circle. So it makes pretty good sense that they say, nope, let's not do it. And then when we see the next circle shift, if we just fast forward a little bit, when we see the next circle shift towards the north, now let's count it up, because infantry are sitting on the top side on their own right now. Yes, they have 4 AM to the east, but they come down here, and play this on their own. Towards the south, if we cut the circle in half, so we have 2 teams on the north side, infantry and 4 AM. On the south, we have the remaining 14. So there's 14 teams trying to get into this, like trying to play the south side, because at this point, it's too late for you to start rotating up and down here as much as you wanted. Doritos. That is actually not a bad name. Doritos. I like that. I can see that being a thing. Where are they looting? Oh, so DA are looting Doritos. And it kind of looks like a nacho as well. That's funny. And it's a Mexican map. That is not a bad call. I think that's fun. Either way, let's hold that thought for a second and I'll continue my thought. Bermuda is also a good name, but I have a Bermuda call on Erangel, and Bermuda is more of an island thing, right? This is not really islands. Either way, sidetracking here. We have 2 teams on the north, 14 teams in the south, and not only do we have 14 teams in the south, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams who are currently outside the circle. We have 8 teams outside the circle. So not only did infantry get a free place to play, at least for now, but had they been down here and been part of the cluster, there's a good chance there's also the chance they would have had 20 kills by phase 5, but there's a very big chance they would have lost players. Maybe they get a couple of kills, but they would have lost players in the midst of being in this complete and utter chaos, because all these 8 teams that are currently outside the circle, they have to find their way in somehow. And what do we have that's playable? So this Furrier split is still being maintained. You can contest that. Gas station is taken, but it's K7 they're splitting. You can probably contest one of those 2 and force them to leave. Other than that, there's nothing. Yes, you can play the hillside in the south, but there really isn't anything to play here. There really isn't anything to play, because the issue is, as long as the hillside is still in, as long as the elevate, like the peak is still in, you can't really do anything in this area. Because you can go, oh, but Toby, there's a dip here. Oh, but Toby, there's a nice little bowl here that you can sit in. Sure, that's a great position to be in, but you cannot play that if this is still in, because they'll just be sitting up here and go pew 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 pew. That's how their guns sound, by the way, in case you didn't know. They'll do that on you, and you can't do anything about it, because you'll just be sitting in the open. You have to worry about the teams that are close to you, so you don't have time to sit and look up the hills. Whereas to the guys on the hill, they have all the time in the universe. They're just going to be sitting here and shooting at everything that's moving. So you can't play this at all. At least not right now, as long as the hill is in. But some of these teams will have to, because there's so many teams that still have to make their way into the circle. So just kind of putting more emphasis on the fact that smart rotation by infantry. Whether they end up winning the game or not, that's a whole other story. But you can see down here, we're already getting clustered, fights escalating. Liquid forced to take the fight to TSG. Gen G trying to wrap south around, get some extra kills. Now the circle does come south, as we expected it was going to go down here. And then you can make the argument that, yes, okay, if you were on the south side and you got a good position, why would you want to be on top? You probably wouldn't. But Liquid lost 2. Gen.G lost... I mean, PO isn't dead yet, but I think they lose 1 here. It's a difficult position to be in, so I'd much rather maybe have to go a little further, like infantry from the north, wrapping down below, and be 4 alive. Perfect, what do you say, perfect health, no damage done to the vest or the helmet, all the smokes and nades available, and have to push into something now, than being in Liquid's position and being, okay, we're only 2 alive, we have to make a push. We probably used all our nades and smokes before when we got pulled up on by TSG, now we have to find our way into the circle. So even though this is a much shorter push, I'd much rather be in infantry's position and have to make that push down here. Or down here, whatever they're up to do. Does that make sense? So they avoid the chaos, they get themselves into a better position, and now we'll see if they can push further forward. Boliang, I don't know if he's AFK or if he's looting a little. Xiaoyang is trying to make his run forward as well. 4am needs to get down the hill. Infantry tries to hold off. Navi making the rotation on. And Navi already has a spot in the circle. And this is, again, very greedy splitting from Navi. But fortunately for them, Face don't really do anything to push it. And obviously K7, they just left there. So they're in a good position on the other side. Circle, send us up once more. And now it becomes tricky, right? Because you have this. I mean, look at how much of the circle is in the open. We can just draw it up. Right. There's a little bit of a hillside there. That's the road. Okay, so all of this terrain, I'm not going to colorize it, but all of this terrain that you can see here, how big a portion of the circle is this? 50%? 60%? Somewhere around that, right? You cannot play anywhere within this as long as the hill is still in. So all the teams that are sitting on the south side, all the teams that are waiting to move, cannot go before they know that this is out. And if we look at the circle distance right now, and we go, okay, so when is the edge of this shifted out? Probably around here? So Navi will have to leave before infantry will have to. Gen.G has to go right now. Fortunately, they do have a shack here they can play from. But it becomes really difficult. And then when you get there, and this is shifted out, you go, okay, thank God, now I don't have to look uphill anymore. But then you have this compound. You still have this compound in. You have K7 in a good position in the center as well. And they can also shoot at everything in here. So there's so much of the center of the circle that's really, really difficult to play around. Let's see. Thank you, Hank. Thank you. Let's see. So infantry is on the hill. Navi have 2 up here trying to make sure. I like this play from Navi. They keep 2 players here trying to make sure they ain't gonna wrap around and push in this way. Senya and Tap could help in that hold. It's not that far. It's, what is it, 300 meters. They can hold and supply like covering fire should the infantry try and push down this way. And that would be the threat to Navi, right? Because Navi want to be able to push into the circle. Whether they go here, whether they crash K7, they don't want other teams interfering. They want to be on their own. So by best of luck and Orange standing here for a little longer, making sure that infantry ain't pushing this way, they go, great. Now we have 1 less team to worry about here because infantry will have to make the run in this direction or crash down to VP. And perfect situation for Navi would be if infantry crashes VP, they have something to third party. So by sitting here, they improve their own odds for the rotation to come because they know they have to move. They're all outside the circle. But you would much rather, if you're a Navi, you would much rather have infantry be over here than you would have infantry be down here. Because then you would have to fight them to get into the circle, right? So smart play by Navi, even though it was a pretty tough couple of days, to be fair, overall for Navi. It's a pretty smart play from them to set up there the way that they did. Let's see. As you can see, no one's able to play anything in here. Everyone's trying to hug the center. Infantry go down. Tried to push forward, didn't work for them. So again, it wasn't a rotation that won them the game, but it was smart playing early on. Navi and FaZe forced to take a fight. Circles once again in the open. Gen.G finally somebody dares to crash into STK. Fortunately, it doesn't quite work out. Navi falls down. FaZe stays alive on the side. K7 chilling, at least for now, inside here. They get the kills onto Face Clan. They opted to push. Sonics try and wrap around the side. Smart play on their part, trying to wrap over here and get themselves into a better position. VP, they're in a perfect position. They have a little bit of uphill here, so they can just sit and shoot at everything. Like, they have a trench on their side where they can just chill and shoot at everything, knowing they all have to fight each other. They come up here. Batulin's a little isolated, but he's going to be able to come back. As you can see, they have the entire north side of the road to play from. Sonics tried to make the push on up. SDK are literally running in their foot tracks or footprints, running up behind them, doing the exact same thing. They end up going down. H-Win prones it out. K7 plays it passively. Again. Look at this. Had they pushed out earlier, had Survivor done something to get into position here earlier, before Virtus Pro got around, they could maybe have held them off. Build a car fort, find a rock, find a tree, and go play an off-angle position in the open, instead of being turtled down inside the compound. It's a lot of teams do it. It's APAC and some, mainly just APAC really, are playing very, very... I mean, it could just be a strat thing, but to me, it seems like they're playing extremely scared. Attack all around, Divine, multi-circle gaming too, to be honest. I mean, and even though I know that's not a Southeast Asian team. And K7, they just, I don't know, they play scared. They seem afraid to take fights. They don't know when to push, and it's weird to watch, because when I've seen, because I have seen a lot of their games from their own regions. Yeah, I mean the Japanese teams are very much the same. Detonation Gaming White has started playing more aggressively, which I like, but Entry Force for sure are playing scared as well. And we'll see that in, or you could see that, I should say, in the bottom seeding games as well. It's just confusing to me. Because when I see them in their own regions, they play daringly, they take chances, they go out, they get kills. But then you go back and see them in their own region, and they're like, what the... Just do something. But either way, that was game number 1 or game number 6. Wait, how do you guys prefer it? Should we call it game number 2? Day 2, game 2? Or should we say day 2, game 6? Because technically it's the 6th game of a series, but it's the 2nd game on the 2nd day. So what makes more sense? I'll let me know in chat what you think is better. In the end, I guess it doesn't matter all that much, but let's see. Game 2. I think game 2 makes sense as well. At least that's what we're gonna call it for now. We can always change it. Or just game 6. Yeah, but then people will be like, oh, what day is it? And then Rebecca Black comes in and starts singing about Friday, and then it gets super confusing. Either way, let's take a look. Game number 2 or 7, depending on how you look at it. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Here's your playing path. Is there anything? Let's take a look. Is there anything out of the ordinary? Do you see anything where you think, what the? Anything at all? Let me know. I'm flying up and down for you to see. And do this as well, if this is making it easier for you. Do 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 do. Good call, Pog. Good call. Liquid looting up towards the north. Like, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the playing path, while it was possible for them to get... No, to Los Leones. Yeah, that's a weird rotation. But either way, while it could technically have happened, the chances for the circle to be in the north is pretty big, so might as well claim something north. We know that Navi likes to go up here, but they only really go up there in eastern circles, and now that the west coast is free, they go over there instead. So it makes pretty good sense. There could have been a universe where Navi and Liquid would have to fight for this, but not really a big issue. Gen G looting north. Aren't they more south? I mean, Gen G is a little all over the place as well, right? Because Gen G, has also been a, at one point anyway, a city Picado looting team, and now they're down towards Porto Paraíso. But of course, with the northern plane, they're just going to play I play elsewhere. And La Correria, since it's free, Navi never contests nothing. And they're really the only team that would go up here and contest it if it was. They just back out and play late. So it makes pretty good sense. It makes pretty good sense. Now let's see. Let's remove the plane path real quick. Boop, we'll remove this too so we can see what's going on. We don't need the distances in here right now. So circle's pretty straightforward. We've got San Martin somewhat center. And as we know, and I don't know why, I mean, I have my guesses on why it is, but I don't know why completely. This right here is like magnet for circles. So STK sitting pretty great in the center. They're gonna three-way split at least for now. Gen G coming in from the north. They are gonna split to some extent as well. PO ain't quite with them just yet. Liquid opting to go towards the west. They'll get themselves up on the water treatment hills. TSM are playing the center compound. So we have 2 compounds free actually. That's a little surprising. But the issue with these 2 compounds is you can't really scout them. The only place you can probably scout them is from the hillside that Liquid on and from STK's position. And STK, they came in from the north. Or like they left this early. They want to sit on the hill instead. And Liquid, I guess, in return, were the ones to get it. But surprising to me that they opted to leave and play 2-way split on the north side instead of maybe doing a 2-1-1 and be able to leave earlier. A little surprising to me. Furia comes in on the south side. Phase already up here towards the west. Navi are encroaching from the west as well. Pretty straightforward first rotation, so not too much to it. Circle now goes towards the east. And this is where it becomes complicated, right? Because what do we have on the west side right now? Whoops. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams on the west outside the circle. Yes, King, me and Paperthin and I, sorry, are casting together the entire week, right? Paper, correct me. I'm gonna once again go back to my schedule and double check. Am I casting the weekend games as well? I'm casting with Paperthin and I'm casting with Paperthin. We're doing the entire week, Paperthin. Oh. I didn't even notice. I didn't know I was doing the finals as well for week 3 or week 2, I guess technically. Aha! So we're casting the whole thing. Cool. The schedule has been changed a couple of times, so I tend to not know. Yeah, but me and Paper are casting both the weekly survival matches and the sorry, and the finals for that week. Paper thick. That's a great name. I'm gonna have to remember that one. But what I was trying to say before is that the rotations here get tricky, right? And why is that? Well, and now we don't have the correct colors that we used to, but we can try anyway. We'll do orange for no and kind of turquoise for yes. So let's draw on the edge of the circle and see where can you get in from. Here's a city. You don't want to go through a city. So this is a no. And then you have these big hills. They get pretty scary, but you can't do it. We'll draw that one as a yellow, as a you can do this. Then you can do the complete south wraparound. That makes pretty good sense. I guess you can go all the way around, because you wouldn't be expecting anyone to still be down by Minas. Up towards the north, you don't want to commit over this hillside, because there could be opponents around. You can go through down here. You can't really go up here. But then you have to go all the way north around if you want to go all the way up here, or up the mountain this way. So as you can see, if you're coming in from the west, all this is, of course, doable. Right? What I'm trying to draw here is if you're coming in from the west, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams are, you might have a difficult time finding a good entry point. Because even if you do get in here, even if you do get through and in into the circle from this road, where do you go? Taken. And you can't scout any of it. That's the issue. You can't really get in a position to scout forward unless if you get up on the hill and look, but then there's a chance of getting shot from the side, chance of getting shot from the other side, and you haven't had a chance to scout that yet either. So it becomes extremely difficult and very time consuming if you want to try and make your way in from the west. So let's see. Let's see where these Western teams opt to go through. Do they just send it full speed into San Martin? That's also a strat, of course, but a pretty scary and last resort type one. Sonics, FaZe, Na'Vi, Attack All Around, and Virtus Pro. What are they opting to do? I like the fact that Virtus Pro have Lou up on the hillside to scout forward. They're sitting 3 down here, and they have Lou out looking to see where they can go. Sonics bombing it into the city. K7 doing the same thing. Virtus Pro around. FaZe around. Na'Vi all the way around. Attack All Around around. You see, no one, I guess with the exception of Sonics, who just sent it full speed forward, no one wants to go through the city. Everyone is trying to wrap around, and get in from the other side. Smart playing. Hey, Bronix, how are you doing? Smart playing on their parts. It's only phase 2 as well, so it's not going to hurt them too much. Now phase 3 pubs. Na'Vi still miles out in the blue. FaZe actually managed to get all the way around and over here. Smart play on their part. Only issue is where they're coming in. They won't really have a whole lot available, but of course they don't know that yet. To the north, we have Attack All Around. They're chilling. They have to find a way to get into the circle as well. They quit out towards the west still, trying to hold out Gen G. Gen G splitting real wide with Pio being kind of a lone soldier towards the south. He tends to do that quite often. Infantry splitting the center. 4 AM crashes into SDK. They survive with 2. Here comes TSM. They feel the hunger. They feel the need for a third-party crash. They do so. And now they're fighting for a compound which isn't inside the next circle. And that's, of course, unfortunate. FaZe forced to split. They can't really play 4 on top of each other. And even if they could, they probably wouldn't want to. Splitting each side on the east side. And everyone else, let's just rewind a little bit. Everyone else now has to make their way in from the east. Or from the west, sorry. So Hacienda is out. Obviously, San Martin is going to be completely out. And the north side compounds are out. So we're having a 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7 teams needing to move. And where can you go here? Where can you go in this circle that isn't already taken? You can, I mean, you can count all the hay bell shacks, of course. We're reaching a point in the game now where you might have to go for some of those. Then we can look further towards the north. We can go, there's a bowl down here, kind of, you can play. There are some different rock formations you can play up here. You can play on the south side if there's no other team over here. So smart that FaZe Clan are splitting the way they are. So they get control on both sides of the hill. The field you can't really do anything with. Especially not when the hills are still in. So you're down to 2 options really. Either you tank blue and try and find an opening late. Which is going to be scary. Or you send it center and force a fight with the team. Sonics out on the west side. K7 out on the west side. Infantry still maintaining this split. I would assume they go back here now. We'll see. Yeah. Immediately sends it back. I like that. Thank you. K7, try and send it down the road. Na'Vi doing the same thing. They're going up with the mountain. And then we have a cluster fight here. And Fuzz and H like, you gotta be kidding me. The second we split off from one another, we have like 8 people driving into us. But fortunately for Gustav and Uber, they get to stay alive through the most of it. So everyone is sending it south around. And as I said, tank and wait late. That's what Sonics do. And everyone else plummet and take crazy fights because of it. K7 sending it. They'll get the compound center. Everyone else went full on forcing fights. And it came to cost them. So we lose quite a few players on that one circle shift. Let's see. We were at... Where were we when we pushed around? 53 down to 40. So we lose 13 players in that one shift. That's quite a... Quite a loss of teams. Bill, Liquid pushed too early on the hillside. From here to here. I think had they not left here early, because they know they have attack all around above them. Oath can see them as well. If they don't leave now, all their vehicles get destroyed and they will never be able to leave here. Getting up here puts them in a much better position. Yes, they might have to fight some teams, and yes, they'll be a little pinned for a while. But I would much rather sit here without cars than I would sit here in the open without cars. And with the circle shifting, they know that Oath has to leave. They know that this bunch of teams has to leave. And they can't really focus on anything other than trying to make their way in. So in the meantime, Liquid can either shoot at them or try and hold off, attack all around. I think it's a pretty smart decision on their part, making the rotation when they did. And they're not pinned, as you can see. They're very mobile. They're moving around all the time. They're trying to contain FaZe in the north. They're trying to make sure that attack all around can't get further down towards them. And now that they hear Oath come in, they can start looking down towards them as well. So I don't think they're too pinned. Yes, they might have to throw some smokes and get some cover, but again, much better off than where they would have been if they were over here where TSM are now. If they were here without vehicles and had to make this run, that'd just be suicide. So pretty decent position, everything considered. And everyone's coming in from the south now as well. Here comes Virtus Pro. They try to smash it up towards them. Here comes FaZe Clan, wrapping around the compound. Makes pretty good sense. Smart timing on the rotation as well. Look at this. They go right when VP does. So TSG are forced to commit to one side and don't get any kills on it. Smart timing on FaZe Clan's part. TSM trying to take the fight to two teams at the same time. Doesn't work for them. Did they not scout Relo? Or did they think he was low HP? So Wookie pulls up on Relo and goes down. Why doesn't Iroh just go with him instead of taking... Iroh goes in a 1v4 fight up here. While Miracle and Var just gets inside the circle and chills. I mean, not chill, but they get into a pretty decent spot in the circle. If you're gonna do anything, you might as well pull up as 2 on Relo. Clear him and then push uphill as 2. Instead of Wookie going alone, Iroh going alone. And Vart and Miracle not being in a position to help. I'm surprised by why Iroh didn't go with Wookie. Maybe they thought it was an easy kill. Maybe they didn't know it was there. But they end up losing 2 players. Again, I mean, you talked about it more, but you wanted to know what happened. And again, it's... In terms of the... what do you say? Fight itself? It's difficult to do analysis off of a map stream, but this is again a situation where, at least from what we're seeing right now, I didn't get to watch this game when it happened live, so this is the first time I see it. At least off of what we see on the map here, it either shows they didn't know about Relo being there, or just a miscommunication thing, where they should have gone together, but they end up not doing that. Maybe they don't know Relo was there, could have been the case, but still, clear it together and then push further forward. At least that's my rule of thumb in these type things. We saw Liquid in the first week. Like the first week of ranking games, Liquid had a lot of times where they just didn't scout properly. I think at least that's, again, to me that's what it looked like. If you ask them, they might say something else. Actually, I want to ask them about that. In the start of the week 1, they were pulling up in places and losing players because losing players on it first rotations because they were just, I guess they were just used to there shouldn't be anyone there. And then there were people there. And now, just 1 week later, or less than a week later, we see them play much more, not safe. I guess safe. They play less, what's the English word for it? Daring is not correct either. They play more off of what they see than what they expect. Does that make sense? They play more off of the info they have than the info they take for granted. And that, to me, is what keeps Liquid alive for a big portion of what they're doing right now, compared to the beginning of the tournament. And this right here, if you know you have 2 areas you can push towards, just go there together. No reason for Iroh to be clearing up here before we know this is clear. If they just took for granted it was clear, fair enough, mistakes happen, but again, as you say, Morbid, it's fixable. It's something they can look back at and go, okay, we should have probably cleared that together before pushing up the hill. But they lose 2 players there, and it sets Miracle and Avad in a difficult position because now they're kind of pinned in between 2 teams here. K7 trying to go somewhat centered towards the vehicle, see an opportunity to go towards the west, end up going over there. They go down to Sonics. Liquid caught in the middle, too much heat coming their way. They just weren't fast enough, I think. Liquid in this situation. They end up being forced to split out, and now they're really kind of pinned thin within 2 teams. Or like in between, to be fair, more than 2, because VP can look up this direction as well. They should have full-on committed to clear one side. Either push up towards attack all around earlier, or maybe try to cross over and clear out phase. Instead, they end up getting pinned in the middle. And they go down because of it. Or at least they lose 2 players because of it. Clip is still alive, at least for now. It's way too open for the circle. No, I don't think that's the case. Had they cleared just one of the teams. Or not necessarily, by cleared, I don't mean they have to kill them, but force them to go somewhere else. Had Liquid been able to force attack all around to run and play only down here, for example, and force attack all around to only focus on these teams, they could have just sat and focused on FaZe and not have to worry about anything else. But because they never deal with the pressure from anywhere, it becomes too much and it overruns them. Yeah, they couldn't run up there because of FaZe, and they can't run up there because of attack all around. So earlier, if we rewind, right? So when they got here, that's when they should have made the aggressive play. FaZe were only 2 at the time. Attack all around was here, sure, but that's when they should have made the play to force them to go elsewhere. Had they had the chance to. So Liquid goes down. FaZe stays up with 3. TSG gets out of the compound alive. Sonics cross over. How did Sonics manage to cross the road? They just ran, I guess. Smoke wall and run. It's only really pad caps who can see them. Smart timing on Sonics' part to run while FaZe and attack all around. Big smoke walls. Makes sense. I mean, they had like, what, 19 dead bodies in this building, so there must have been quite a few smokes available. Circles closing on in. TSG ends up getting eliminated. FaZe and Sonics. Sonics hit the circle. Now Sonics is in a tricky position, and I like this positioning from them. Hold. Hold. The reason they can have H1 alone over here is because there is still enough space between the 2 teams that if they push, he can get the info across, and Tickleton can come over and help before they actually get here. So the only thing for H1 is he cannot go down. If H1 is the first to get knocked, that completely opens up the flank for attack all around. So he just needs to play contain and play more info than play daring. In the meantime, the rest of the Sonics players need to try and take the fight to FaZe Clan before attack all around pushes in. Right now, this looks like a 100% guaranteed Sonics are gonna get the sandwiched. But if they're fast enough at swooping FaZe, not that that's an easy thing to do, if they're fast enough and can win a 3v3 versus FaZe, they should have time to reset before attack all around gets up the hill. And in the meantime, H1 will have had eyes on this direction. So I really think this is a smart positioning. Just Sonics played super well in these in these situations. I'm not again, I actually don't know who wins this game. But if they play too passive down here, it might become dangerous. Their only hope, the only reason I would say they could play passive down here is in case FaZe opts to push over the top, and they can then in turn hold out, attack all around together. But I'd still say that Sonic's pushing FaZe here would have been the play. Let's see what ends up happening. If H1 alone can contain this flank enough that attack all around pushes up this way, that is a job well done by H1. It seems like that's the case. Nope, they just go down to blue, I guess. What? Or a nade, maybe? Maybe a nade. I can't really see on this overlay what damages them. Must have been a nade, I assume. They go down now, 4v3 versus FaZe. They have to completely edged out. 2 go down instantly. Uber, 1v3. Ain't gonna happen. He goes down. Yeah, really well played by Sonics there. There's so much happening in these type of situations when you're in this position. But Adrian plays it really well. Most importantly, he doesn't get knocked by attack all around. That's the alpha omega of his position. Contain, make sure they can't go around, and keep feeding info to your teammates. Force them to go this way, and then in the end, you will be the one swooping in. So smart play in that situation. Yeah, exactly. Really smart playing. Yeah, I mean, Uber is essentially playing the same role as Adrian, right? They're both sitting like this. So Gustav and 8C are looking this way. They're looking this way. Contain. That's what's going on. It's kind of a mirrored image of what's going on, except Sonics has one more player alive. Well done. That's exactly how I want to play your endgame. Well done by, to be fair, both the teams, but of course Sonics one more player. They get the circle as well. They end up winning that one. That was game number 2. We hop on over to game number 3, aka game number 8. Ooh. Beep, beep, beep. Here's your playing path. Have a good one, Sig. Take care. So, let's see. Anything out of the ordinary? Anything that stands out to you guys that you feel like should be mentioned? Anything at all? In terms of where the teams drop? I'll give you 2 more seconds to consider. I will say no. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Na'Vi hopping towards the east makes perfect sense. They've done that many times before, looting up in this area when they can't get the circles towards the west that they want to. So makes pretty good sense that we're going where we are. And we're splitting off the way that we are right now. Let's see. Circle is pretty straightforward. This is close to the... I don't know if you guys saw the broadcast, the early broadcast, me and Poro casted, where we came up with the plain white bagel circle of Erangel. AKA the most boring circle. Not boring, but like just most straightforward circle. That is this one. Where there is a little bit of land north of Rostock and a little bit of military. There's not enough military that it can actually go there. And there's not enough of the top that it can actually go there. So you know that it's going to end here. That is the plain white bagel circle of Erangel. And this, of course, is further north. But it's close enough. It's very centered, that's for sure. Very centered on the vertical line. Not so much the horizontal one. Oh, wait, it's the other way around. Centered on the horizontal line, not the vertical one. But surprising to me, a lot of teams opting to go north here. So Furia sends it north around. 4 AM already up here as well. TSM obviously in a 2-way split in Rostock. Makes perfect sense. Gen G opts to stay around, so they do have some sort of passage to the other side should the circle go south. K7 still up towards the north, getting looted up. I mean, we're 5 minutes into the game, to be fair. Probably shouldn't be up here at this point, but when you look at the plane path, they had a little bit of a ways to get over. Maybe they went here, got cars, drove. So it took them a little longer. But surprising to see 4 AM and Furia opting to pass north around here. Not surprising, just would have expected 4 AM to want to stay down here instead of fully committing north. Yeah, Morbid, thank you. It was fun. Finally got to say it. I think what most teams would do in this situation, because they know, I mean, 4 AM knows that this is not being looted by anyone. So maybe stay split like this. in the first circle. And then hopefully by circle 2 already, you will know whether the circle is going to end on the north or on the south side. But the fact that they full commit 4 above, that's actually a little surprising to me. Maybe it's one of those we expect other teams to not go for this because they think it's like reverse psychology, right? They will think we're still there. And because they think so, they won't go there. And because they won't go there, we don't have to go there. We can just play north because we know this is going to be free if we want to go back to it. There's that chance, but that is a risky play to make from 4 a.m. in committing north without any safety south. Because if this was taken now, if it is going to be taken, I don't know. Again, I didn't get to see this game. If it's going to be taken, if this is going to be taken and the circle shifts south, all of a sudden, if you're 4 a.m., it's going to be difficult to get south again. You'd have to rotate all the way north around. And you have 0 info on this side of the circle. So let's see. Let's see what ends up happening. Freaka Freaks, up towards the north they go. SDK trying to claim control in the south. TSM loses 2. Wookie and Vart gets pulled up on by NG. Oh, it's this game. I did watch this game. Okay, now I know what it is. Unless if this happened twice. Okay, so they end up going back to Rozhok. TSM losing players early again. I guess that's the silver lining for you, Morbid, if you wanted to see what went wrong for TSM. I mean, they probably weren't expecting a full-on 4-man pull-up this early in the game. You can't really do that. But to be fair, they weren't really. If you look at where if you look at where Wookie and Vard are positioned, they come to the compound. At this point, they hear the vehicles. And I'm not sure where Wookie is going. You're running out to try and get an angle on them? I don't know. But Vats ends up being alone. Now they get back together. Had they been 2 here early and shot at them coming in, they would probably have been better off. But now they're in a 2v2. Wookie peeks, ends up going down. Vard is on his own. And at this point, Miracle just can't get up there in time. Unfortunately. So they end up going down. TSM backs off. Has to play it as 2. Circle closes on in. Infantry, welcome to the circle. Now all the small chicken were in the courtyard. Or chicken courtyard, whatever you want to call it. Circle hard shifts to the west. Circle hard shifts to the west. And this is a funny one, because not only is it a hard shift to one side, but we still don't know which side of the river we're going to go to. There's a pretty much an even 50-50 split. And since the next circle isn't going to go away from the water, it can go anywhere, really. Genji trying to maintain a split here. Again, since we don't know yet where the circle is going to go, you want to maintain as much control, or have at least some sort of control on both sides, which of course can be difficult in phase 2, and especially when it's like right in the middle. So Anonix is back on the other side, trying to make sure no one's coming over. They're going to go down and try and maintain this 2-way split. They know they have no one between them. They can do this for now, and they have their vehicles parked on the south side here. So should they come, they can back off, or should they want to go, they can go up towards their teammates. Liquid crosses over. They're going to push up. Fortunately for Genji, they don't set up shop in the middle, because that would have made it difficult for them to kind of traverse through. They go further up to the forest. Liquid. Base, push underneath. They end up losing 1 because of it. And now PO is on his own. And this is where we've seen Genji get punished before. When they get too greedy on their splits. When Genji don't get punished for a while, they get more and more and more and more daring. And then at one point they get too daring and end up going down. If Anonix falls here, like PO is the middleman in terms of feeding information for these two. Not only is the middleman, he's also a game leader. And right now he's solo peeking down towards base clan. If he gets knocked here, it becomes impossible for either side to get him up. Why? Because if he gets knocked here, Anonix would have to leave to rest him. That might work, but they lose the compound. Or Esther would have to leave to res. And then FaceTime might want to push up here. Or push the fight as well, and then they lose. Or if 4 AM sees them leave, they go over and fight it. So there's a lot of pressure on PO to not fall down here, because that could essentially ruin their entire split. So he's kind of the bolt that holds the two links together with the position that he's playing right now. Virtus Pro, Sonics, and TSM fighting in Watertown. That's pretty interesting. Took a little while longer than what we expected it to, but the fight does come to an end in the end of it. Circle now, guaranteed to go north, and of course, as soon as the circle pops, you're just gonna see NG full speed send it over here. There are a lot of teams in the west. They're of course aware of that. They've heard all the shots in the north. So Anonix and PO will go over to the teammates. We still have Navi outside the circle. We have Attack All Around miles outside the circle. We have two of the TSG players miles outside the circle. Everyone is trying to find a way to get into it. They've heard the commotion between STK and 4 AM. They can't go here. Don't want to go here. They need to go all the way around. But Navi knows that Attack All Around are further down the road. And also Orange was fighting and I believe goes down to TSG players. So Navi don't know exactly where they have anyone. It's a tricky situation to be in. And they now need to make a committed push to one side. They go over. They lose 2. Oh, lose 1, sorry. Senya's still there. And they play the north side of the garage. Now, we know the circle ain't gonna go south. At least it shouldn't. In these particular circles, we do actually see some weird phase 4 shifts anyway. But we're all expecting the circle to go to the north. PO's superpower is being invisible. Yeah. Again, it is until it isn't, right? He normally succeeds in those type situations, but then there's also the one game where he doesn't, and then that's when they all end up going down. Infantry bombs at center. We see them do that from time to time. They go, it kind of similar to what DA does. They say, great, who would want to play here right now? No one, let's go. And they just send it. So they get themselves a really good center position. K7 tries to do the same thing, but they're backtracking a team already. I'm not sure why they commit to it, because if you look at the... Okay, never mind. Maybe the timing is just off. They don't see the vehicles. And this is a prime example of me saying PUBG is a game of seconds. And what I mean by that is it doesn't, I mean, yes, okay, a game takes 28 to 30 minutes and you go, what does 2 or 3 seconds matter in the grand scheme of things? Here, it means whether you get a center position or not, because look at this. Look at the timing from infantry and K7. According to the map, and if we look at the time down in the bottom right corner, infantry starts driving at 14:30-ish. K7 start driving at 14:49. Just 20 seconds later. And they were closer too. Had they driven just 5-10 seconds earlier, they would have either they would have seen infantry make that rotation. Like, had they been here at this point, they would have seen the cars and go, stop, another team is taking a position. We can't go there. Or, had they been a few seconds earlier than that, they would have been the ones down here when infantry were coming like this, and infantry would have been forced to go, we can't do that. And now, because they're a few seconds later, they end up going down in the cluster of everything. Because infantry coming here has already gathered the attention. Like, Genji, they're looking south. Furia, they're looking towards the north. Liquid, they're probably holding out here. When infantry comes through, vehicle sounds, these guys go, oh, what's happening over here? These guys go, oh, what's happening down here? These guys go, oh, what's happening down here? So now their focus is fixed towards the center, at least some of the players. And then K7 comes around, and now they're already in position to shoot, and they don't last more than a couple of seconds before they're all killed. So pretty interesting how a game that takes so long can come down to a matter of 5-second decision making as to who gets to stay alive and who doesn't. Infantry get themselves a center position. Off of that, Navi up towards the north, just chilling. 2 players left alive. Virtus Pro wants to get across, and this south side just becomes a like full on shit show. I'm not sure why Luke goes back. I think he goes back to scout. I think he wants to clear this direction. Because from here he can look over to the side and above and make sure that that Virtus Pro can get around. Or maybe he, I don't know, needed some... I highly doubt that it's loot at this point in the game, because they've just killed an entire team down here. So he goes back to scout. Unknown to him, Volibear's inside the city. They have SDK above them, so Lou ends up, as much as he wanted to be the guy that was kind of the eye in the sky for them, like looking up here and looking over here, he ends up being the complete opposite. He needed an extended mag. Could you imagine? Hey guys, I'm kind of low on bandages. See you in 15. I don't think that's the case. And now, not only was Volibear here, and they had a little skirmish going on, but Yamsia is underneath the bridge as well. He has to cross. He does actually manage to do so, but because he's spending so much time over here, Virtus Pro, the remaining players, need to focus in this direction to try and help him make the cross. That allows for FaZe to push up. That allows for STK to get vision on this side. Purdy has vision from this side, and all of a sudden, Virtus Pro are in a tricky position in the center of everything, down towards the south. And also, we have the sneaky snake down here that comes up and takes out one of them, I believe. Towards the north, of course, this whole area is still unplayable. Big flat pancake you can't really do anything with. 4am are chilling on the side. Liquid try to take the fight over to the top. Thank you, Furia. I was looking at them going, don't do this to me. But look at this, they push out. Had this been entry force 36, had this been attack all around, had this been divine, had this been nah, I don't want to say GX anymore. They've got more aggressive. Had this been multi-circle gaming, had this been maybe Destination Gaming wide, had this been maybe meta gaming, had this been... I think that rounds off the list pretty well. They would have stayed in the compound. Exactly. They would have stayed in the compound. But even though it's so comfortable having these walls to hide behind, that's going to get you killed if you don't do something with it. So thank you. They hear the commotion on the top. Fury, I don't care whether they succeed in this or not. It's the correct play to make. Whether they win the fight then or if they doesn't, don't care. They made the right play. They committed to the right decision. Now they come up, they look, it gets quiet again, they don't have the info they want, they back off and go down. Perfect play. Makes good sense. No reason to overcommit. They just got the circle. They know for a fact they will have to come into the circle towards them, so go back and play it below. But they went up, they checked it, they didn't like what they see, they went down. Now they have the info. They ain't here. They can come back, but they ain't here right now. Other teams that are just kind of turtling inside the compound, they won't have that info. And they will constantly have to be sitting and looking in all directions because they simply don't know where they're going to be coming in from. So smart playing from Furia. Love to see it. Raspu immediately up the hill again once they start shooting again. Raspu gets up the hill, gets the info, starts getting kills. Smart playing from Furia. Love to see it. Especially from teams we don't see succeed too much in this tournament so far. Furia actually makes some really... like, their calls are really good. Furia makes some really wise decisions. They just don't succeed in executing the plays. Like, the ideas and what they come up with are the right ones. They just fail to... whether it's relying on a solo player to win a 1v1, or if it's they accidentally flip a vehicle when they had to go somewhere, or whatever it is. The ideas they come up with are extremely good and the correct ideas in the situation. But the human factor, the whoops, I missed my spray, or whoops, I flipped a vehicle, or damn, this guy is a better fragger than me. That's what's been, at least in my book, working against them, because their play calling is pretty damn good. 4am claims control on the top. Similar situation. Could have stayed down on the ridges. Circle went away. They go up. They take control. And now they fall back, play inside. They know Fury is out here. They can play contained. Rusty tries to get in, goes down. I'm not sure why they didn't send more than one. Rasputin tries to go in, goes down, and they all die in the end of it. Had they committed with 3 and tried to build a car fort, that might have been a play to make. But desperate times, desperate measures, I guess. Long skirt goes up, tries to play container and hold out PO. You can just see how they're taking charge here. The issue is because infantry didn't commit to taking the fight to Gen G, they in turn can't do anything about 4 AM. These two teams lock each other in their position, allowing for 4 AM to do essentially whatever they want. Because this fight doesn't end faster, 4 AM pretty much gets I don't want to say free win. That's overselling it, but they get a very good chance to get a win. Because they can just sit on the top now and wait for them to push forward. They are forced to take the fight. Gen G ends up, I believe, going down to the blue. Not quite sure. And Forever gets a triple nade. What's the funniest reaction? Actually, let me show it to you. I clipped the tweet. It was the funniest reaction. Here. It's so hilarious. Watch this. Look at it. He's down in the bottom right corner. Sorry for the resolution. He's in the bottom right corner. Look at his reaction. He doesn't know because he throws a nade and then kind of just runs in the opposite direction. He's like, wait, what happened? And then you see God V left of him. He's just laughing his ass off because he saw it, right? He literally like Forever throws a nade and then it's like, okay, bye bye, and then goes the other direction. And then the game ends and he's like, wait, what? Just look at him down here. Look at him. Oh. Was it me? Was it me? What? Guys, what happened? Guys, what happened? What? He's so confused. What? What? and Godfrey is just, he's literally laughing his ass off. Look at this. He's down there. Whoa! He goes completely crazy because of it. He's just laughing his ass off. And the only one who doesn't have any clue what happened, the only person who doesn't have any clue what happened is Forever. And he's the one that threw the nade. Like, he's the one throwing the nade. And he is so confused. I loved it. It's just so great when you get those, like, when you get the reactions to stuff like that. So much fun. Either way, that was game number 3. Let's hop over to the second to final game. Pause for a second. Oh, sorry, pause. And we'll update this one. And thanks for the follows, guys. I just have the audio. I have the audio turned off during like for alerts during these analysis streams, just so you don't get confused by it. Let's see. Plane, pretty diagonal, pretty straightforward. Should be easy for everyone to go wherever they want. Let's pause for a second. Boop. Okay, let's pause before the circle pops. Boop. Anything out of the ordinary, guys? Enlighten me. I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'll go my usual up and down, and you guys tell me what you see. Anything out of the ordinary? Liquid is not in Pachinki. That's true. I guess that is to some extent out of the ordinary. But they have not been for this entire tournament. So if we look back at like EU versus global stuff, that's out of the ordinary. But for this tournament in particular, it really hasn't been. Where's the rest of Afrika Freaks? They're all there. Going towards the east. Virtus Pro and Stalber? No, that's not unusual. Virtus Pro is just a team that jumps out early. Like, they'll jump out where... So if the plane path comes there, they'll go there. If the plane path is like this, they'll go Sarki. If the plane path is like this, they'll go Novo. Whoops, Novo. If the plane path is like this, they'll go Prim. So they don't really care. Yeah, they're all four there, getting going. The only thing that I would say is face down towards the south side. But that's, again... It's not too far out of the ordinary, but you can easily see, TSG gets confused by it. Because look at this. Yamshir goes towards the compound. And then, no, actually he's going to go towards Quarry. And TSG believe, at least it looks to me, like TSG believe they have the Prim to themselves. But look at this. They come down. Whoop. They turn around. They go back towards the north again. So that would be the only thing to me that face up to split the way that they do here. That's probably the only real... And I'm sorry you guys can't really see it probably because of my webcam. But face have a west coast split going on here. Which is a little surprising to me. Because they find themselves in between Na'Vi and TSG. And I'm not sure exactly what they want to do down here. But that would be the only thing to me that's somewhat surprising. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they will go to new places. I just didn't expect them to want to go down here because they should know that it's, I guess you can say, a little heated in this area of the map. But let's see. Circle goes towards the north. And with, I mean, you have to kind of expect that it's going to go somewhere north, shifting away from the water in phase 4. A lot of teams will be coming in from the southwest. So we'll see if they opt to go north around or if they opt to go over potato, or if they opt to go all the way south around or up like this. It's a bad word in Chinese. Oh, it is? I have no idea what that means. Afrika Freaks have a fight? Did they set up an ambush? So attack all around. They actually did. EJ is waiting here. Attack all around comes through. And they try and pin them in. They get gems down. Fortunately, they get EJ back up alive. And they stay put throughout all of it. All of K7? No. Okay, so TSM, once again, fighting early. They read a two-way split. They all come up in the end of it. They end up going down. They stay alive with 3. I guess that's as much as you can expect. You can never take for granted that you're going to survive a 4v4 with 4 alive. But they get 4 kills. They only lose 1. I guess that's as much as you can hope for when you're fighting early game. They stay alive with 3 there. Good for them. Circle continues closing in. More and more teams are making their way up over the west side. You can see this down here is completely open. No one is banking on the south side. At all. You have TSG coming in late. FaZe are coming in late as well. New circle pups. And we go a little more center. Again, very unlikely that we go down towards the south. Simply because next circle will shift away from this. So unless if it goes like hard south, then it could go down here. But even then, that's very unlikely. So there's a very big chance that we're going to end somewhere north of that line. SDK, nice two-way split they've got going. Freaka Freaks come in, playing Senda. Down by the water. Trying to hold off. Anyone should come in. FaZe Clan comes up. One goes down. Does Gustav get away? He does not. Tricky situation here as well. I mean, FaZe Clan, they're looking for info, right? They're coming in super late since they were all the way down in Prim. And I believe... Did they lose vehicles? Let's just... No, okay, they have cars all the way through. I thought maybe TSG took some of their vehicles, but they didn't. So they come up, FaZe Clan. They have 0 info at this point. Afrika Freaks, again, matter of seconds. Had they been over here a little earlier, they would have seen Afrika Freaks push towards the hillside, but they don't. So they're out here, they're on foot, they're ready for Fuss when he comes up, he goes down, and Gustav falls as well. That's just trying to get info in a circle where the other teams are already in position. That's the scary thing about coming into circles late, or the dangerous thing, I guess you can say, is that you might, like you trying to gain information, might end up getting you killed because teams are already sitting there waiting for you to come their way. And FaZe pay the price and lose 2 players. Over on the west side, teams are there. Now the circle shifts east, and this is actually kind of funny because you have a very natural, like if you just look at the terrain, you have a very natural funnel here. And for those of you guys who don't know what a funnel is, you can Google translate it. There's a very natural funnel here. It's difficult to run up the hill like this, and obviously you don't want to go into the water. So if the circle goes east, which it does, we just saw that, we're pretty much forcing all the players either through here or take the fight up the hill. Or, last resort, bridge, go into Yasnaya. Because you can't really push through here. then you'd have to go all the way around, but you don't have so much time. Remember that between phase 4 and phase 5, or phase 3 and phase 4, you only have like 60 seconds before the circle starts closing in. And if you're up here, Navi for example, sorry, and you have to make a rotation, it takes you a while, because you're not just gonna full speed send it all the way over here. It takes you a while to move forward, get scouted, get into the cars, get all that done, you know? So we'll see. We'll see how teams opt to move. Infantry can go south, Phase can try and wrap south around, if that's what they want to. And of course, teams can try and wrap north and come over the hillside to the top, but coming from the top and having to push down is also incredibly difficult. Teams just don't want to go north to south, like, or uphill to downhill, because let me try and draw it for you. Here is Toby's perfect drawing skills shown to you. So what happens is, if, let's say we have a hill. This is our hill. And here's a tree. And down here is a tree. This is Stalbert, by the way, in case you didn't know. Toby's perfect drawing skills. So what happens here is that if we have a guy playing down the hill, he is standing down here. And we have a guy up here coming down the hill. This is the issue that that you might face. And this is why you don't want to push from uphill, downhill. Hey, beer guys, how are you doing? So what happens is that this guy who is coming from uphill and coming down, right now, if we look at his vision, he can't see anything down the hill because this tree is blocking off his view. Whereas to the guy who's down the hill, he can see this guy. And that might only be a matter of a half-second difference. But the fact is that if this guy is looking uphill and this guy is coming down the hill, he is going to see this guy before this guy is going to see this guy. Therefore, the guy sitting downhill shooting uphill will always have the advantage when the guy from above has to come down. Which is why it's incredibly dangerous to try, when we talked about this circle, to go back and just kind of put it into perspective, it's incredibly difficult to make this push because, you know, in case we have to push downhill, we might be fucked. I hope that makes sense. That's Toby's strip paint skills put to perfect use. So when you have a circle like this, you can see how many teams opt to commit south around because they don't want to be up here having to push down the hill eventually. Let's see. Circle goes towards the north. So for anyone who opted to go up here, in this particular case, got fortunate with the shift. And also, I mean, this is not just one big, all of this is downhill, you know? It's not just one big, like, cone. There's different layers and hills. You know what the hillsides look like. I don't have to explain it to you. But there's a lot of different terrain that you can hide in within all of the hillsides, of course. So everyone down towards the south will need to push their way up the hill. Navi, Phase will have to try and make their way up. Liquid from the east will have to try and make their way in. And again, it's difficult open terrain to fight in overall. TSM, make their way towards the center, not gonna work out. Uber trying to do the same, not gonna work out either. SDK has full control of the center of the circle. SDK are getting really good at claiming center in circles. Sure, some circles go their direction, but they're really good at claiming center positions and maintaining control. Look at how mobile they are. You never see them just sitting completely still. They're constantly out looking in different different directions. Purdy constantly running around trying to get info for his team on where opponents are. As soon as they hear something in the west, Uncivil moves over to try to get vision. Alo, solo player holding the top. These guys play extremely well together. And you can tell, I mean, when you can see a team doing well just off of looking at a map, that's when you know they're doing something right. Infantry have the entire bottom side now. Again, I wonder how many teams would have just sat in this compound and not done anything. But infantry pushes out, tries to take control. SDK forced to take the fight with the Freak of Freaks. They end up staying alive with 3. Great hold by them. Furia goes down on the north side. infantry. This is like a 3-layer hillside, which is, it's kind of difficult to draw up, but it kind of goes like this. So it's like plateau, 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 plateau. It's pretty difficult to, again, it's similar to the city ending, so this is a little difficult to do proper analysis of these endgame situations when we are in an area of the map that's so hilly. But it was a good endgame. So for those of you guys who didn't watch, it's game, I guess game 9 that was played yesterday. You should go and watch it. It was a really good game. I didn't pick SDK. I went full CIS. I picked Navi and Navi and Virtus Pro. That's the thing, right? It's so fucking impossible to know who's gonna succeed. Infantry wins the game. Great game for them. They had some really nice holds. Like they were just playing contain on the bottom of the hillside. They got they got 9 and Xiaoyang to the center. 2 people holding. Again, they're trying to force these 2 teams to run into each other. 9 alone is containing Balefrost and Rello inside the shack, and they just played so well. Very good up close team infantry. But it's so difficult to know when it's just 10 games who's gonna come out victorious. But Virtus Pro was close. They were in first place for a good portion of it. Final game coming up, game number 5. Let's see, playing path. Beep, 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 beep. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Let's see. Anything out of the ordinary? We'll wait till the circle. Actually, we'll do it just before the circle pops. Anything out of the ordinary, guys? Tell me. What do you see? What do you spy with your spy glass that is out of the ordinary to you? They did indeed, man. They did. They had some really good games. Sorry for yawning. My sleep schedule got completely fucked because I had to get up at 3 a.m. last night. The playing path is pretty straightforward. Not when I draw them. Then they're pretty not straightforward. Anything that stands out to you here that is out of the ordinary? I'm just asking you, we're all learning. Anything that stands out to you that is different than what it should be? I'll give you 3 more seconds. 2, 1. No. It's pretty straightforward. FaZe gonna make their way down towards Milta. Oath are getting looted up towards the north. Everything is pretty ordinary here. No one hot dropping. No, DA ain't here. So let's see. First rotations come in. FaZe, obviously, they I like how they've been doing this. Sometimes it's been Fuzz FaZe, sometimes it's been HC, and now it seems like it's Fuzz FaZe and Uber who stay up here. They've been having a good kind of like pin between Milta and Shelter. No one's been claiming Shelter at all, so they can go loot both places. Now they get to stick around, circle pups, claim, and HC and good stuff can come up and help. Smart positioning from FaZe early on. There's no reason to commit to something on the edge if you can get center spots as well, and you have a pretty much direct highway from one spot to another, or from one spot to the other, I should say. So smart positioning from FaZe. TSM again sending it center. They didn't really have any info, but they full speed sent it, and this time around it works out for them. So they get to sit 4 in Shelter. Navi pulls up. I'm not sure why. Sometimes you just have to scratch your head and go, So Navi comes to Alamo with Orange and Senya. They see 8C pull up, but maybe they don't know that Uber is already there. But they see one guy pull up. And then they maybe go, oh, it's just one guy, let's pull up on him. So 3 pull up, Senya is behind still. One goes down instantly, and now they're in a 2v4. The play itself makes sense, but when you think about the team that's executing this, Navi, I mean, and this is maybe just a comfort zone thing. Navi normally never plays center, right? So them committing to something like this early, I'm just like, why not just stay in Mansion and Heaven? Look at the circle. Mansion and Heaven. They have a pretty decent three-way split going on here, should the circle go north. I'm not sure why they care to contest Warehouse or Museum or whatever you want to call it. Maybe they're just tilted. That could also be. I mean, they had a really, really terrible 2 days. So maybe they're just tilted and go, okay, let's just fight something. Let's get some points. Maybe that's what's going on. But it doesn't make any sense to me that they leave Mansion. Like, they had a three-way split here. And if you look at the circle, if you just remove the names real quick, this is a pretty decent split. It might not be in the very center of the circle, but should the circle go anywhere north, you have 3 pretty good positions to be in. Yes, the some people call it the backflip compound, you know, where you can fly over and do crazy stunts. They have Heaven, they have Mansion, they have the L comp or J compound up here. J. Sky Garden. I love that name too. It's not, I can't say that. It's not natural for me to say. I have no idea why they opt to push the way they did. It's something I do not know the answer to. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they're a really good team, and they had a terrible day. But to be fair, I mean, at least they were in the finals. At least they're not in DA's position and have to miss the entire second week. At least they get a chance to play again. So I guess they can't be too tilted. And also, week 1 was, what was the math? 2.something% of the prize pool. Only 2% of the prize pool was dedicated to week 1. So consider it the warm-up week, Navi. Just stretch it out, chill, win the first game of the next weekly survivals, and go stomp it. And then you get more money. Easy. Not easy, but you know what I mean. Just rechannel your focus. TSM sitting inside shelter. They get pulled up on by Sonics and 4am. That's, of course, unfortunate. Sometimes you can't do anything about it. But to be fair, I mean, they managed to stay alive with 3, so good hold from them. Sonics, in the meantime, get completely split off. They end up going down. Liquid coming in from the south. Where did Liquid come from to play there? Okay, so they sit Potato. This is a rotation I want to keep my eye on. They sit Potato, circle Pups. Most teams would try and play it in slow here. Like go down here, scout forward, or maybe wrap north around, go here, scout forward. Maybe wrap further north around, trying to go to the fields and scout up, see if this is clear, see if some of this is clear. But Liquid actually goes the opposite way. That's not something I feel I've seen too much from Liquid. Interesting. They opt to go south around. They're backtracking Gen G. This is always horrible. When you're driving on a rotation and there's a team you can see driving straight in front of you, like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. When are they gonna stop and take the fight to us? Or are they going the exact same spot that we wanted to? I guess the only good thing is, it's like if you're speeding on the highway, not that I encourage that at all, but I guess if you're speeding on the highway and there's a guy speeding on the highway in front of you, then I guess the police will stop him first, right? Maybe, I guess. So they're speeding on the Milta highway with Gen G here. And as you see, Gen G stops, takes the fight to... Why would they stop there? Inonic stops. They hear Liquid. They try and take the fight to them. But we both got pulled over. Oh, well, rip. They just gave up this. They just gave up the rotation. Why would they stop there? If you want to try and hold them off, don't stop there, Gen G. Were they just stopping to scout? Either way, Liquid roll the dice. They go Leroy Jenkins mode, and they get themselves a good position in the circle. 4 in Monkey. Smart play. Smart play indeed. Circle goes east, and now Liquid are sitting pretty well in it. Gen G will have to fight their way in from the outside, but they're alright. They have their position in the circle anyway. Up towards the north, it's a little more clustered. You have to try and see if you can make your way in from there. Virtus Pro in a wide split here. Interesting split from them. Trying to get info, trying to find an opening to get through. Batulins looking forward. Lu looking forward. Hirusen looking to maybe try and see if he can find something over in this direction. And Spiro as well sitting up here looking forward. It's a difficult rotation for them to have to make, especially when they heard all the action in Shelter before and have to make their way north around as well here. Attack all around, wraps south around. Goes into blue, comes up on the other side, makes pretty good sense. Not sure why Gen G don't just play up here. They take people into Milta. They end up taking down infantry. Or at least one of the players. And then they go back uphill. They were up there. But they split Milta to take control. Now they come back up. Maybe they wanted Milta so that if the next circle goes east, they could wrap underneath. You can still do that from here. I don't know. I'm not sure why they're sitting inside Milta, actually. That's confusing to me. I know Gen G likes to play Edge, but that's playing Edge without, like, for seemingly no reason. That's confusing. K7 up on the top tries to get some info. They push forward. Puyoho goes down. Attack. I Freaks they're just sitting dead center here. It's a tricky situation to be in for them to be center though, because it's a really difficult compound to maintain control of. And if you're Hikari and Hans here, they can actually not see Akkad and EJ with the way the terrain is. There's like the big rock formations up here. So EJ and Akkad are playing on their own on the south side, trying to hold off, and you can see they have to be mobile. It's similar to where SDK were in the last game, in the Dog Shacks and the Stalper. You have to constantly move around in order to maintain control. You have to be very, very dynamic in the way that you play, unfortunately. Africa Freaks are just that. Gen G try to take vehicles and wrap around TSG. They want to come in from the north. Not sure why. But they take cars, try and get around. They know Loki is here. They know opponents up on the other side too. And they go full speed around here, trying to take the fight on the other side. They hear all the commotion in the south. They know they have infantry sitting above them. So there's really only one thing they can do, and that's trying to get in this direction. I like the play. They don't want to pull up here. They know it's outside the circle. No reason to take the fight here to then have to push further forward. Might as well try and see if you can wrap around, get some kills, and then either push further around or up the hill. Loki is trying to apply suppressive fire from behind. They continue moving forward. They end up losing players. Do they end up going down? No, they get all 3 alive. All 4 alive. How the fuck did that happen? Loki is playing up close. They're the ones pushing. Afrika Freak was so gifted here. You say that, but it's a very difficult compound to hold. Sure, the circle went their way, but no guarantee that just because you get a circle, you get the win. Well played by Gen G. Well played by Gen G. And to be fair, I mean, Afrika Freaks had to rotate into it too. They come from the south, they go up here, they split out, they back off, they held off the entirety of Sonics, and then they play there in the end of it. So they're constantly moving around. That's not an easy position to play. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't say gifted at all, actually. Gen G, on the other hand, they've been fighting through the entire thing, and they're still alive with 4 as well. That's pretty damn impressive. Get the rest back up again. They've gotten rests like 19 times in this game already. Inside lumber mill ending. Not something you see too often. Oath, still 4 guys alive. Gen G now trying to pull up on Afrika Freaks as well. Everyone want a piece of the Freaks. They were the ones to win it. Of course. I mean, the overall standings, that is. Genji ends up backing off. Esther falls. Can they get the rest? Nah, Loki backs off. Not gonna happen. Over the top they go. Circle south again. Here you can argue that they got lucky because they can now go in and play underneath on the rocks here. They do have clip that they have to worry about on the south side, but all these teams on the north will have to fight each other. So if a Freak of Freaks just push in and play contain on this side, they should be alright. That's the only time I feel like they've gotten a circle where they got a little lucky. But even with that, I mean, they're not doing that at all. They're trying to contain here, preventing teams from pushing down in this direction. And in the meantime, SDK, again, super smart playing by them. They just claim spots. They could have just settled here, but they continue moving forward until they see opponents. Like, they just play contact. Once they see a team, they opt to, like, decide whether to fight it or not. And they end up backing off. So smart playing by SDK. Bigger Freaks come around the south, clear the bottom. Clip is out. Smart playing. Again, never take anything for granted. Make sure to clear for snakes. Genji is coming back around this direction. Now STK can do the same thing. They can run out and take control. Or they can try and contain north. But there's so many teams towards the north that they just have to play, like, they just have to play contain now. I'm casting tomorrow, Juba. That's early enough for you. Me and Paperthin are casting tomorrow. I'm actually casting this entire week with Paperthin. Fight escalates on the west side. NA teams fighting one another. In the meantime, 4am and Furia fighting on the top. STK played this endgame extremely well. The fact that they keep all four alive through so much of it is extremely impressive. They fought their way through the top. They knew that, if we rewind a little, they knew that sitting up here was going to get them in trouble. So as soon as the circle goes south, they know that if we stay up here to try and take fights, they're literally going to be coming in from everywhere. So we got to make our way down south. Once they hear, once they realize the Freak of Freaks ain't playing towards the center, which I thought they were going to do, they take even more control. So really well played by STK. In the end of this one. Let's see if they can grab themselves the win as well. 4v2, 4v1, easy peasy. Demo goes down and STK gets the win. Very, very interesting game. But that's going to be it for the analysis video this time around. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in and I'll see you in the next video.